Live from the NBD Production Studios, you're in the lab with your host, Joshua Diaz. Welcome. How's everybody doing today? Tuesday, the 15th, 2 minutes after 2 p.m. here on the West Coast, 2 minutes after 5 on the East Coast. Welcome. Show number 1 of 2 today. That's right. We have 2 shows. 2. Not 1, not 3, not 4, but 2. We're back again tonight at 7 Pacific with the Lab and Friends with the co-host Lucas, aka Kyle 5. And so we will be here again. 2 shows. Not 1, not 3, not 7, 2. And if you have not, please like, subscribe, share. Always appreciated. If you haven't yet, head over to the merch store if you would like to support the channel and get yourself some lab gear. I have a coffee cup coming. I'm very excited about my coffee cup because I will be using it to drink out of on the air. I'm really excited about that cup. I don't get excited about a lot of stuff, but coffee cups I like a lot. Melissa, welcome. Thank you for being on time. It is so good to see you. Good to be here. And as we're coming on the air at right as we went live, really quick, here's a quick report I wanted to share. A girl who went missing more than 2 years ago at the age of 4 was found alive by police yesterday, Monday, hidden. I have no idea what that is. All right, silent mode is on. Sorry about that. It's just, you try and you fail. A girl who went missing more than 2 years ago at age 4 was found alive by police on Monday, hidden underneath a staircase in a New York home. Paisley Schultes, now 6, was found at a residence in Socrates. These names, I struggle. About 45 miles south of Albany on Monday night after authorities received a tip regarding her whereabouts. The officers found the young girl after an hour of searching in a makeshift room under a staircase leading to the basement. That's not good. Not good at all. But I'm very glad that she's been found. Detective Eric Thiel noted that something appeared odd in the staircase, and they saw a blanket after flashing a light between the steps. I know. It's horrific. And there's the young lady that was rescued, and she is alive. She was reported missing 2 years ago when she was 4. She's now 6. And wow, that's a miracle. Those don't happen all the time, very rarely, but it's a win. It's something that you can always look forward to, and think about and keep in the back of your mind when you deal with missing people. Sometimes it becomes very discouraging and it can dominate your mind. And you have to appreciate the wins. Okay. That's what you have to do. And I'm very happy that this young girl has been found alive. So Very good. And if you want to check that out, it's on NBCnews.com. Go ahead and check out the rest of the story because it is a fascinating one. I thought that it was something worth sharing. And once again, welcome to the lab. I'm your host, Joshua Diaz. Once again, we have two shows for you today. The first one's right now. You guessed it. Good job. And the second one, we will be back on the air at 7 tonight to bring you a Lab and Friends, which should be a good time. Now, if you like to laugh, if you like to, just we'll talk cases, but we'll also talk, I got to tell you, Lucas is a huge, and when I say huge, I mean, he's a huge Bengal fan, and they lost. And I'm going to bring it up. And he might cry. With any luck, he'll cry. Because if somebody cries over sports, it'll be him. And did I miss a member? Let me see here. I didn't mean to do that. Where's my new, yeah. I did miss it. Where I can't find it. Where is it at? Oh, there we go. New member alert. Time for change. Thank you so much for being here. I got a great show for you. So here we go. Let me just introduce this to you and we will discuss it on the other side. And I think there's enough people in here now to where few stories are as chilling and mysterious as the Pied Piper of Hamelin. The British poet Robert Browning sums beautifully the tragic story of the Pied Piper of Hamelin when he writes, "When lo, as they reached the mountainside, a wondrous portal opened wide, as if a cavern was suddenly hollowed, and the piper advanced, and the children followed. And when all were in, to the very last, the door in the mountainside shut fast." For those of you who are unfamiliar with the story, the tale was set in 1284 in the town of Hamelin, a small, prosperous town in Germany infested by rats. And as the story goes, the people were facing heavy losses due to the huge rats, and nothing could make them go away. Somewhere during this time, a Pied Piper visited their town and promised to remove the rats if he was paid a certain amount. The desperate people gathered around and agreed, and the piper succeeded in removing the rats. Although the piper got rid of the rats, the people of Hamelin reneged on their promise. The furious piper left, vowing revenge. On July 26th of that same year, the piper returned and led the children away, never to be seen again. As an inscription etched on the window of a half-timbered private residence dating to 1602 in Hamelin still reads, 1284, on the 26th of June, the day of St. John and St. Paul, 130 children born in Hamelin were led out of the town by a piper wearing multicolored clothes. After passing the Calvary near the Kloppenberg, they disappeared forever. Historical records suggest that the story of the Pied Piper of Hamelin was a real event that took place. But the mystery of what really happened to those children on that fateful day of June 26th has never been solved to date. Most scholars and historians agree that something horrible happened on that day at Hamelin. Though it might not have been a piper with magical music powers, it is safe to say the tragedy of irreparable magnitude happened on that day that is still remembered centuries later. And since rats were involved, the most common theory is some disease spread by rats like the bubonic plague that decimated the children. Even the Pied Piper's clothing might signify that he might be infected with the splotchy skin lesions brought on by the disease. But two crucial points refute this theory. Why were only children affected and not adults? The original tale didn't include rats. The rodents started appearing only in the 16th century, at a time when Europe was gripped by the plague. Some historians believe that since children were involved, the missing children would have joined the failed Children Crusade that took place in 1212, where thousands of children set off for the Holy Land to regain it from the Muslims. But many died on the way or were sold to slavery. But again, why was the story set up only in Hamlin and not anywhere else? Also, the crusade took place some 70 to 80 years before the incident at Hamlin. Historian Wickby Ramier, project coordinator at the Hamlin Museum, believes that the story is related to migration when Germans left in large numbers to colonize Eastern Europe. As per him, the Pied Piper might be a sort of a recruiter. As he says, quote, "In this scenario, the Pied Piper played the role of a so-called locator or recruiter. They were responsible for organizing migrations to the east and were said to have worn colorful garments and played an instrument to attract the attention of possible settlers." Perhaps the darkest of all theories is the Pied Piper was a pedophile who crept into the town of Hamlin to abduct children in their sleep. And after the abduction and him doing his deed, he killed them off. The people of Hamlin were perhaps so much traumatized and even ashamed that they could not protect their children, they covered it up and obliterated all written records of the same. As Ramir says, did something happen that officials had been covering up? Something so traumatic that it was transmitted orally for so long in the town's collective memory over decades and even centuries. Today, in the street of Hamlin, where the children were last seen, is today called Bungalow Centestrasse, which translates to streets without drums. No one is allowed to dance or play music there. Even the word Pied Piper has found its way in the English language and is used for describing a leader who makes irresponsible promises or one who misguides people, to a charismatic leader who attracts followers. Yes, while we might never really know the details of the traumatic event that took place and that has so deeply prevailed within the collective memory of the town people for centuries, perhaps we might do well to heed the hidden, poignant lessons found within the pages of this tragic tale by taking better care of our children and protect them from the Pied Pipers of today. And now you know the story of the Pied Piper. It is part myth, part legend, and there is some truth to that. You know, back in those days, they had recruiters that would go out and try to recruit for colonization. And there was back in, I believe it was around 1200 around 1212 or 1220, somewhere around there. There was what was called a Great Child Crusade. And as you heard in that video, that the Child Crusade, they was somewhere close to 30,000 children taken and to reclaim land. And they believed that the Red Sea was going to part for them, and it didn't. And a lot of children were sold into slavery or killed. And some people believe that this is a direct link to the Pied Piper. Now, these individuals would wear these clothes, and what they would do is they were considered lower class humans, and for reasons that they earned it, because what they would do is they were tricky, and they just weren't really that great of people. So they had a bad reputation to begin with. So when this man shows up and says, hey, I can get rid of the rats in your town for you for a price, and the townsmen agree to that price, and then they refuse after he does the job to pay. And then now the Piper says that he will, the same way that he lured the rats to the water, he will now lure the children. And it is true that 130 children from the town of Hamlin did go missing. Nobody's quite sure exactly what happened, but 130 kids did go missing. 3 kids were left behind. One couldn't walk, one couldn't hear, and one couldn't see. And it was etched on glass the day that it happened. But for a fact that there was tons and tons of kids that did go missing, 130. And somewhere 80 years before that, the Child Crusades happened, which was just awful as well. And as you know, you hear the story as a child, it has been told probably 100 different ways. But the fact is that 130 kids did go missing that day. And whether they were lured away by the Piper, and if you know anything about the Pied Piper, people refer to that as somebody who leads people into situations that they shouldn't be led into. It's not a good thing to be called the Pied Piper. And if you have ever heard the term pay the piper, you got to pay the piper. Well, what the townsmen didn't do was pay the piper. Interesting, right? So he came back for his revenge, as the story goes. Now, could it have been migration? Of course it could have. There's no doubt about that. But the fact of the matter is that children were targeted back then, and they're still being targeted today. This is a tale as old as time. And the reason that children are targeted is because they are able to be manipulated. And when your parents put you in bad situations, that's when the trouble can really start. And there are a lot of Pied Pipers out there. And I always try and think when I hear of these, and I don't know exactly what happened. Nobody does. There's a lot of different theories. The Piper represents a lot of things. And when I hear these stories, I always wonder, what is it exactly? What can I learn from this? What can I learn from this? And so I thought about it. And I said, what lessons can be learned? Well, I can tell you this, the story itself, keeping your word is much more important than money, and your reputation matters. Keeping your word and is much more. Who did that? Peyton. It's all right. I still love you, son. Keeping your word is much more important than money, and your reputation matters. And that's the truth. What in the story that they agreed to terms on something and backed out, putting them all in danger. But that's really not the basis. That's not the basis. That's not the major story here. That's not the major lesson. I'll tell you what the major lesson is. And it's a lesson we all need to learn. Be careful who you are dealing with. You never know what someone is capable of. I think that's the moral of the story with the piper. And I just think, they get in, I guess you could call, they get in bed with this guy who they don't know much about. They expose their entire town and their children to somebody that they are not even familiar with. This man promises what things that he can do. And when he delivers, they say, well, you're just an outcast. You're just whatever. You're just you. Get out of here. And he says, I will be back and I will collect payment. We have so many pipers out there that we don't even know. How can you know? You can't. And so it's on us to protect our children. These people were so ashamed of whatever happened in that town that they tried to erase it from history. And it's stuck ever since. Children need protection. And we're talking this goes back so far. The Children Crusade. Who's targeted? Who is always targeted? Children. Why? Because they're not being taken care of. They're not being watched over properly. They're being forced to grow up before they should, and to take care of themselves. And the children are the ones that suffer. The mistakes of the parents, the shortcomings of the parents are costing children their lives. Because there's always somebody out there ready to prey. It's a story that's been told since the beginning of time, and it's never stopped. He lures the kids away. How many times have we heard this? A lot, unfortunately. We have to be careful who we bring into our children's lives. We have to be careful who we expose our children to, because there are pipers everywhere. They're everywhere. And the problem is a lot of the pipers are the parents now. They're not taking care of their children the way that they're supposed to. Every day we hear of something new. Every day we hear of something new. And it gets worse and worse and worse. But if history can teach us any lessons, and it tries, we just have to be able to listen. You know, the one thing that I can't stand, and I say this to people all the time, if you're talking to somebody and they're not listening, if they don't listen to what you say, at least to consider what you're saying, move on. Talk to somebody else. Just stop talking to that person. You have to be able to learn from each other. If you don't want to listen to somebody, don't waste their time and pretend. Just move on. Because there are so many life lessons here that we have to consider. You have to be careful who you are dealing with. Whoever this was in the story goes that he led them into a mountain never to be seen again. And I'm sure there's a lot of folklore in there and a lot of myth, but I know that it's not disputed that 130 kids went missing from there. Where were they going? I don't know. Who let them out of town? I don't know, but somebody did. Somebody did. Because of the actions of the townspeople, the parents who didn't protect their children, who got in bed with somebody that they didn't know, who made a deal with somebody they didn't know. They brought this person, this thing, this entity, this evil, or whatever you want to call it, into their children's lives. And then what? And then what happened? Because they didn't know who they were exposing the children to. They didn't know what the Piper was capable of. They say he had magical powers. Well, I wouldn't go that far. But children, unfortunately, are and can be targeted on a daily basis because they think that everybody is a good person. And especially somebody who dresses, basically like a clown. They made a deal with them. And a lot of times when these children go missing in present day, we always want to look at stranger abduction. Well, this would be not really a stranger abduction because the townspeople knew who the Piper was. They didn't know enough about him. They didn't know any, they knew who he was, but they were dealing with him. But they didn't know who they were dealing with. We have to be more careful. We have to teach our children to look out for the Pied Pipers of the world. And it becomes more and more imperative every single day that children are able to talk to their parents about these situations, that parents need to be able to tell their children, this is what you need to watch out for. But you can't expect the children to watch out for this if you're going to put them in harm's way. That's just not how it works. And I believe that if you're putting your child in harm's way and something happens to that child, you're just as guilty. I'm not saying you wanted it to happen. I'm not saying that but we do not protect our children the way that we're supposed to. It seems like we never had. It seems as though this is something that's been going on forever. When will we learn? I don't know. I don't know when we learn. But I got to tell you, that story of the Pied Piper is troubling. They've tried to turn it into kind of a children's story in some aspects. I can guarantee you it is not a children's story, and it's not for children. But we seem to just never learn our lessons. Thank you so much for the $5 super sticker. Appreciate that. K Mitch says, in my childhood, I don't know how I made it. I ran all around totally unsupervised. I raised my children differently. Well, exactly. Terry, thank you for being here. I appreciate that. Stop dragging strangers home and get to know who your eyes are fixed on. Absolutely. You know, I remember when my kids would ask, when they were younger, they say, "Oh, I want to go stay the night at Benny's house." And I know, you know, say that Benny, okay, I'm going to use a different name. Let's say Roger. I just made that name up. Don't read anything into it. Roger. And Roger was a nice kid. And I knew Roger. Hold on. Give me 1 second here. I was hearing something. I was hearing something through my headphone. I don't know what it was. But they wouldn't want to go to their friend Roger's house, stay the night. And I would say, I didn't swear to God, I didn't mean anything. Whatever. Now, I know Roger, but I don't know Roger's parents. Roger's parents could be anybody. And I would always say, I don't know their parents. I'd like to meet them. Obviously, I want to know their address and I want to go to their house and their phone number and blah, blah, blah. And my kids would always go, "Really? Is it necessary?" And I said, "More than you'll ever know. Because you're not going to stay with Raji if I'm not going to meet their parents. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen." And they would always get upset about it. And I said, "Well, you know what? If Roger's parents don't want to meet me, you're not going. If it doesn't pass the, you know." So one thing that I would always do when I had a Facebook and was whatever is I would look that person up and I would see who we knew in common. And then I would reach out to those people and I say, "Well, how much do you know about this person?" And I would try my best to get a handle on the situation and try to figure out who these people were in the community. And when I could get, you know, positive reassurance from people that I knew and trusted, then maybe through some stroke of luck, you can go and hang out for a little while I'm down the road or something. And then we can work into maybe, you know, but it wasn't an automatic thing. My youngest 4 hates when I CSI a new friend. Too bad. That's right. Too bad. "Oh, but dad, really?" "Yes, really." "Dad, really?" "Yep." "You're going to do this?" "Every time." It's just, I actually took pleasure in it. I enjoyed it because I never, this is, my son had they're still friends to this day. He had a really good friend. And he wanted to go stay with his friend. And it seemed as though his friend, I knew his friend, I knew his mother. They were nice. I didn't like the neighborhood that he lived in. It just wasn't a very good neighborhood. Nothing against them or anything. And unfortunately, when I said, no, you're not going there to stay, and he wanted not like a reason, but he was just like, he didn't understand it. And I said, I don't like the neighborhood. And then he goes and tells, hey, my dad said you don't live in a good neighborhood. And I went, oh my God. And so now I was forever embarrassed about that. That sucked. That really wasn't the way that I was heading with it. But yeah, I remember that. I still feel bad about that because it wasn't necessarily the kid or the mother. It was just the neighbor. I just didn't like the neighborhood. It had a reputation. It has a reputation. That wasn't something that I was meaning to do. And I remember telling him, like, dude, hey, how about next time you being honest is good. It's great. But you didn't have to go into all that detail. My dad said the neighborhood that you live in, and I'm just like, okay, it's my fault for not telling you that was a personal conversation. And I still feel bad about it today, even though it was many years ago. And I still see this young man, and oh man, it was brutal. It was brutal. I still, like I said, I still regret it to this day. And he didn't even think there was anything wrong with saying that. He just said it. My parents didn't vet my friends' parents as hard and let me go to sleepovers a lot. One of our friends' dads, I'll never forget, left us at 8 years old most of the night. Yeah, exactly. It happens. It happened. I had girls. My house was a place that girls were safe, and I got to really know their friends. Yes, and I know all my. I would always try. That was another thing that I'd always try and do. Why can't they come over here? Why can't they come stay here? And I was surprised at how many of my children's friends didn't want to actually meet me. You know, a phone number and a text message, but that, I always found that odd. There was a couple that did their due diligence, and obviously they'd be welcomed in the house. And you say, yeah, this is it. It is. Stop by anytime. You don't even have to call. Just show up. Whatever you want to do. Your kid's here. You're welcome to be here. But I was very surprised at that, and it sucked. And I would always feel bad and go, ugh. Well, how come? But, Roger gets to go and walk around. I don't care what Roger gets to do. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is what you get to do and what I allow you to do. There's too many pipers out there. And I'm not willing to pay the piper, and I'm not willing to make deals with the piper or bring the piper around to my house. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's one of those life's not fair moments, How come you? I don't know. Why can't this person do this? Well, because they're not my kid. Why can't I do that? Because you're my kid. I'm telling you, and my kids will tell you that if I'm not getting a phone call back soon or a text message soon, I'm showing up. I'm pulling up. I've done it 100 times. I'll do it again. I don't even care how old they are. But, and 99.9% of the time, it's, they're playing basketball and they set their phone down. They're at the park with their friends or something. But if I don't get a response in a reasonable amount of time, I'm in the car. I'm hunting them down. Bam. And if they're not where they say they're supposed to be, prepare to reap the whirlwind, because it turns into a thing. Trust me. And I hope that my kids treat their kids that way. And I hope that one day they appreciate what I was trying to do. Oh yeah, I pulled up hard. And it's funny too, because when they see me, they'll look, and then they'll immediately go like over, look at their phone or pull their phone out of their pocket, and they'll be like, "Oh, 3 missed calls from Dad. And here he is," and Dad's sitting there with his window rolled down, going. And I said, "Why didn't you return my call? Why didn't you, Dad? Dad, you're supposed to check in. You're supposed to check in," and they didn't like it, and I didn't care, and you shouldn't care either, because I didn't think it was an unreasonable request. I don't think that the things that I did was outrageous. I thought that is how you're supposed to treat children, that you're supposed to watch out for them, that you're supposed to protect them. That's what I thought, and that's what I did, and that's what I do. I have an 18-year-old son now who just turned 18, and he would tell you that I'm sure I got on his nerves a few times. And I know my youngest one, who even likes to be even more kind of push the limits of freedom, I know he hated that. And that's it. So according to my son, we were the strictest, most unfair people on the planet. He's 43 now and has 4 daughters. He's way stricter than we were, and good for him. God bless him. God bless him. And we just try our hardest to do the right thing. But if something bad, I just did whatever I could to prevent something happening that I could prevent. That's what I did. I tried my best. I always wanted to know where my kids were. I always wanted to know when they were coming home. I still want to know when they're coming home, what they're doing, who they're with. But because I have to. That's my job. That's your job as a parent. And then we look at all these cases, and I'm not saying that some of these things happen where we can't help. Sometimes kids got to walk home from school. I get that. I understand all that. Sometimes kids wander where they're not supposed to. I get that. I understand that. But there are risks that you can knock down. There are things that you can do to make it even harder for somebody to do something. It's never foolproof, and obviously there are predators out there. And Foggy Mom, thank you so much for the 1999. Bless your heart too. Thank you. You will always wonder, Josh, even as an adult, not living in your home, you'll always worry about them every day of my life. Every day of my life. I didn't feel as though I was protected by my father, and I wanted to do everything in my power. And just like most of you who are great parents, you want to... There are just things that you can do to protect your children. Pepsi Girl says, I was raised that way too, Josh, but my kids hated it. They either checked in or they didn't go out. Bang, bang, boom. You betcha. Sorry. Sorry. It is what it is. Look, we've had that a lot. We've had that a lot. Love Pink says, I am very honest when I freak out on them. I could not handle life anymore if something was to happen to you. Luckily, they get it. Yeah. And you really don't understand that. And they won't understand that until they become older. Your children won't understand that. And that's not really for them to understand either, in my opinion. They can understand it or they can't. I don't know. Maybe as they get older, they'll understand it. But I'm not dropping my 10-year-old off at somebody's house that I've never met just because they're friends with little Johnny at school. It's just not going to happen. Little Benny at school. Sorry. Whatever. It's a joke. Let's go with Johnny. Johnny and Roger. Sound like a couple of troublemakers. Dukes of Hazzard backup. Roger. Little Roger at school. And another thing was that we always went through is, I don't want you hanging out with that kid. Oh, daddy's my friend. Well, your friend's going to get you in a lot of trouble. Not today, maybe not tomorrow, but it's going to happen. I can see it. I've seen it. Because that person or that child's parent maybe wasn't as proactive in their life as they should have been. Yes, Johnny and Roger. KPBS says, I don't want them to be afraid of the world either. Some freedom is good. Yes, at a certain age, freedom is great. And yes, as they get older, you loosen it, but I'm not talking about full grown adults. I'm not even talking about the age that they are now. They're 17, they'll be 17, 18 years old. A lot of that they can, I'm talking younger. I'm talking, kids that are being influenced by people. It's just not right. And now that they're the age that they are, the responsibility really, falls on them with the things that I've tried to teach them and that they can pass down to their parents. Just like the person in the comment that said, well, just because, I was the most strict parent according to my child, and now they have more, they're more strict than I am. My niece's best friend stole birthday money from my niece on her birthday. Poor kid's very troubled. Got money back, and I think my niece learned a lesson about trust. Yeah, life lessons are tough. Kathy says you have to be a parent when they're young, not their friend. Yeah, exactly. Starts again with the parents. 100%. My grandbaby doesn't go outside without me. Depending on the age, I'm sure that's a good move. And the worst part about this, and I'll tell you what the worst part about this is, the fact that we have to actually do this, the fact that there are sickos in the world, or creeps, or just major influences in our children's lives that we have to watch out for every day. I mean, you turn on the TV and you see certain people acting a certain way, and your child is impressionable, and it can be imprinted on them. They want to be cool. They want to be liked. They want to be in the happening and the now. Fine. That's okay. BS text says, no, it gets worse when they're older. When they're older and they start going to pubs and clubs. Well, I mean, but at that point, you can only protect your kids up until a certain point, right? And that's how I would think. You can only protect them up to a certain point. I mean, you can't be with them all the time. Yeah, you're always when they start driving and riding around with other people, and that's a terrifying time in itself. That's kind of where we're at right now. Everybody's getting cars, and it's just, I think we're more aware of predators than our parents were, but there's easier access to our kids online. Absolutely. Absolutely. Trophy wife says, I'm 47 years old. I have a family of my own, and I still let my mom know when we're doing something out of the norm, just the way I was raised. Dude, my grandmother, who raised me and my sister, she raised us, and her daughter, which was my mother, was the one who, she was murdered, and I went to live with my mom, or my grandma. You want to talk about overprotective, and it used to drive me nuts. And she would admit to you that she was probably overprotective, and that was kind of the rap on my family. Was, even my aunts would always say, "Mom, you're being overprotective with them." My sister and I. And that was definitely true. And as nuts as it drove me, it made sense as I got older. I didn't understand it when I was younger. I hated it. It drove me nuts. It drove me nuts. But you know what? It's because she loved me, and she went through a traumatic event. She lost her baby. And she wasn't exactly a baby. She was 23, but they're always your baby. And to this day, she likes to know when someone's leaving, when someone's coming back. My sister, who lives all the way across town and at times has lived as many as 5 hours away, I mean, she was always all over her. You can't really blame her for that. Kathy says, I'm raising my grandchildren and I'm very overprotective because I've learned more the second time around. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I'm telling you, I did not understand it, and I didn't like it as a kid growing up. I didn't like it. But it was really, she didn't care. I'm sure she did, but she wasn't willing to compromise on it. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't either. She did the right thing. All she wanted to do was protect us. And she did. She did protect us. She absolutely did protect us. And for that, I'll always be grateful. It's so tough just trying to raise children, let alone having to watch out for the Pied Pipers of the world, the predators of the world. It's just another element that makes everything more difficult. Fruit Loop says, Josh, you sound like me and my husband. I'm a man of the people. I'm just kidding. Says, my youngest, Anna says, my youngest is 26 now. I know what way she drives to work. She drives to work and days off. Yeah, of course. It's one of those things, like if you've ever watched like a 48 Hours or a Forensic Files, when somebody doesn't show up to work, the family, the family who is really in tune with everything, they say, well, that's not like her. That's not like her. Or that's not like him. They didn't show up to work today. Why not? That's not like them. And then the panic sets in. Patricia, thank you for that. Appreciate it. And Kathy says, I'm just doing what any grandma would do. Well, no, not really. You're not really doing just what any grandma would do. You're doing what most grandmas would do, most normal grandmothers. But I'm not going to mention any names, but not all grandmothers are equal. They're just not. They're just not. They don't. Not everybody takes care of their kids the same way. TJ said, Josh, I think you're such an awesome person. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's nice of you to say. Um, you know, thank you, Kathy, for that super. I don't know how awesome of a person I am, but I have some insight into some stuff. Into, you know, oh yeah, I forgot about her. It's not just her. Our children are in their 40s. We now have to call them if we're going anywhere. That's right. Where now it's their turn to take care of you. Susan Becker, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Gotta go make chicken pot pie. That sounds fantastic. Chicken pot pie. I like chicken pot pie. I don't like cooked peas. Do you put peas in your pot pie? I'm curious about that. Peas in the pot pie is a no go for me. Um, they just are. I don't like cooked carrots either, or broccoli. Yes, please. Also, thank you for everybody that is here, and please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's see. I paid the house note, utilities, every bill from my mom's checkbook. Just no mom. My husband, 35 years yesterday, calls me the feral child. God did make me strong because he knew I was on my own. Absolutely. No peas, please. Please, no peas. They're just boring. Like peas are like I don't know. They're just ugh. Josh, did you get my midnight caller message? I don't know. I don't. What is that? I don't think so. I don't know what that means. Midnight caller message? Yeah, please don't put pickles in your pot pie. I'm curious about that. I don't know what that means. Peas peas and pear onions cooked in butter? Ugh. Teresa says, if I ever put lima beans in anything, my husband thinks I'm trying to kill him. Sounds like you might be. Get those lima beans out of there. They got to go. Done. Oh, I got you. You're okay. I mean, your voice reminds me of the man from Midnight Caller. Okay. I could see that. Yeah. It's funny. After all these, when I say years, I don't know how many years it's been. Um, probably 7 now that I've been doing stuff like this. And my voice has always been obviously the same, but it has evolved more into more of a broadcasting sound. It's something that you work on, and I don't know. I sound different now than I did 7 years ago. I know that. I was always very, and I was just like, it was just something. Now it's just natural the way that it comes out, the way that I talk. I can feel, I can kind of feel when it's maybe too raspy or too. You can tell. Some days your voice isn't what you want it to be, and some days you're in the pocket. Um, I'm a radio head. I listen to all the greats. I have always. I've always listened to the greats. So, um, Yeah, thank you. That was always my goal, was to have some sort of broadcasting voice. It's something Teresa, you're you're one of my best mods, but I might time you out for that one. Beets and Brussels sprouts. Ugh, gross. Beets and Brussels sprouts together? You must be kidding. You must be kidding. You're talking from your diaphragm. Yeah, I guess I am. I think that's where you're supposed to talk from. Okay, now you can stay now, Teresa, because if you're eating beets and Brussels sprouts together, we got a problem. We got a major problem. I have to reconsider everything. Up is down, down is up. My mom makes spaghetti and adds corn to it. Oh, come on. Nothing more than I hate than just somebody sprinkling in cooked corn where it doesn't belong. Get it out of here. Oh, no good. Can't have that. You can't have it. Yeah, but take the Brussels sprouts and send them down the road. Put them on the train to wherever. No Brussels sprouts, no beets, no corns thrown into the mix just to make it more. It's filler. Corn on the cob is good, but don't just sprinkle in corn. Come on. We know better than that, guys. Cabbage. I don't even want to talk about cabbage. I don't know if I have texture issues, but I really feel like corn's so disrespected. Like in those, like the ones at KFC, they have these things called famous bowls, and for some reason, somebody decided that it would be a good idea to just throw random little pieces of soggy corn in there, and that's not acceptable. If I wanted corn, I'd order corn. You want a side of corn? Sure. But don't mix it together. That's gross. And I can just see, Teresa, I can see you making beets with Brussels sprouts and a corn sandwich. I know what you do. That sounds like something you would make. Josh, you sound like my son. He hated veggies growing up. I had to bribe him at least eat one spoonful. Yeah, that never went good for me. It's not that I don't like vegetables. I like uncooked vegetables. Tomorrow's Salad Wednesday. I'm a Salad Wednesday guy. I love salad. But don't force it. You don't have to force the roughage. Don't do that. I love turnip, beets. Gross. Come on. Josh, before I fall asleep, can you please find the theme tune and play Josh, before I fall asleep, can you please find the theme to play the end of one of your shows? What theme? I'm confused. I am sorry. Tell me the theme. Soggy loaf of bread, Chris. Yeah. I don't think Chris likes soggy bread. Hi, Mimi. It's good to see you. Great to be here. Avocado toast. Yeah, that's fine. I don't have a problem. Is anybody familiar with flan? Flan sucks. Not because it tastes bad, but it's just like a big loogie. Flan. I know a lot of people like it too. It's just that I have texture issues with, and that's true. I do sometimes have texture issues, no doubt about that. Flan is good. No, it's not. It's not. No, I don't have texture issues. I have crappy food issues. My flan. Flan sucks because it tastes bad and the texture is gross. The texture is gross. Yeah. Shrimp, all that stuff. Not nice. But no, not that I know of. But probably. Have really enjoyed this chat. Very interesting and just so chill. We'll definitely be returning often. Thank you so much. You're always welcome in this chat. Thank you so much for being here. Makes some mac and cheese. You can't go wrong. That's another thing. When people put like corn in their mac and cheese, it drives me nuts. I hate that. Yes, Josh, I should have a retreat and teach you how to cook. Oh, look, I'll teach you how to cook right now. It's very simple. Leave unwanted vegetables out of it. Put it on the side. Less cooked vegetables, more raw vegetables. Cooked vegetables, like seriously, little, like the little baby corns, and people boil those and make them all soft and mushy. Ugh. Ugh. I had to stop my daughter when she was little. My daughter would grab green onions out and say, "Them's good thistles." I still give her a hard time about it and we laugh. I'm sure she appreciates it every time you come up sick. There is nothing worse. And I'll tell you this right now. And I'm not even willing to argue with you, any of you, about this, but there is nothing worse than a cooked tomato. There's nothing worse than a cooked tomato. I know. I'm going to get hammered for this in the chat, but a cooked tomato, get out of my face. I'd rather eat Teresa's Brussels sprout and beet sandwich. That's a fact. That's a fact. Fresh veggies are already, just leave them. Just leave them. See, here we go. Cream, but you haven't had a good fried green tomato then. Yeah, you're right. I haven't because they don't exist. Nope, not okra either. Hate okra. Josh, have you tried Yorkshire pudding with gravy? No, I have not. Who's agreeing with me here? Somebody said cooked tomatoes are nasty. There we go. There we go. Cooked tomatoes are nasty. Bang. That's what's up. Fried green tomatoes. I remember that movie. But I'm not a big fan. Okra is so gross and slimy. I've had okra before. I'll tell you the one vegetable that's cooked that is good. I'll tell you just the one. And it is artichoke. Now, not the heart. I don't like artichoke hearts. The leaves, good. The heart, yeah. People put artichoke hearts on their pizza. Not cool, man. You got to stop. I would embarrass my daughter all the time. Better safe than sorry. Oh man, I remember. I don't know. I'm not going to tell this story, but maybe another day. Yeah, I like potatoes. I mean, I get it. Raw veggies, overcooked. Yeah, absolutely. And I do like vegetables. I like artichoke is good. Yo quiero chocolate. Yeah. Among many other things. Spam. Okay, yeah, I hate spam too. My son loves spam. I don't know why. It's not it's not any good. It's not any good. I don't know why. B Botanical says, yes, raw veggies were intended to be raw or steamed. You don't need to steam them. Just eat them raw. No steamed vegetables. Spam is good. No, it's not. Get out of here with that. That's okay. No, I don't. A lot of people like asparagus. I'm not into that. Walmart gas stations sell Spam. Yeah, I think it lasts for like 70 years or something like that. Somebody just Moulin Rouge just says, I hate vegetables. Just all. That's a blanket statement. I hate them. I hate vegetables. That's you know what I'm going to say about raw turnips. You know what I'm going to say about it. Don't even bring raw turnips up. Why bring it up? You know I'm not going to like raw turnips. I like broccoli, but I don't like cooked broccoli. Nothing besides Spam is good in the trash. It's gross. It's gross. But you know what is when if you mix some vegetables in with some fruit and make like a juice like that, that's good. Although you may be on the toilet forever. Not me, but you. I don't eat fish, seafood, lamb, or any weird blank. Is that right? You don't? I do. I don't eat lamb. I like Spam fried, not raw. Sick. It's all gross. Summer squash. See, that's another. See, it's just like, I'm just not that guy. I like veggies. It's not the veggies. Celery is like biting into water with strings. Yeah, it's boring. Yeah, I've had a gyro gyro with the lamb meat. Yeah, I've had that. They're pretty good. Yeah, it's not bad. I've never been to the melting pot. I have a friend who absolutely loves Spam. Brussels sprouts. My favorite meal. Oh man. My favorite meal is probably I don't know. I don't know what my favorite meal is. Somebody say my name. Hold on. Anyway. Guys, it was a fun afternoon stream with you. Thank you so much. I got to go pick up my son from school. I'll be back later tonight at 7. And we will see you then. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the super chats, super stickers, all the comments, everybody that showed up. It's been a blast. And we got to protect our children from the pipers of the world. Be diligent and heed the warnings of the past. Thank you for being here. Later tonight, I'm telling you, you're not going to want to miss this. It's going to be a good time.